7 years. That's how long I'd been married to Natalie Porter Walsh, when everything I thought I knew about my life turned out to be a carefully constructed lie. My name is Cameron Walsh. I'm 37 years old, a project engineer making $92,000 a year. Nothing fancy, but decent money. My father was a contractor who taught me that a man's word is his bond, and my mother was a school teacher who drilled into me that respect and honesty aren't negotiable. I met Natalie at my friend Luke's engagement party 8 years ago. She was working as an event coordinator then, 28 years old, beautiful in that effortless way that made every guy notice. Auburn hair, green eyes, and a laugh that could light up a room. "This is incredible," I told her during a quiet moment by the bar. "You really know what you're doing." She smiled, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "Thank you. I love making people's special moments perfect," she replied warmly. That conversation led to dinner, then another. A whirlwind year of romance that felt like a movie. Natalie made me feel like the most important person in the world. She'd text me good morning every day, leave notes in my lunch, surprise me with tickets to games I'd mentioned. A year later, I proposed at the same venue where we met. Our wedding was everything she'd dreamed of: country club elegance, 200 guests, a reception that cost more than my car. Watching her walk down the aisle, I would have paid twice as much. The first 3 years were good. Really good. Date nights every Friday, weekend trips to the mountains, quiet Sunday mornings reading together. Natalie kept working, building her client base, talking about starting her own company. Then everything changed. "I'm burned out, Cam," she told me one evening over dinner. "I want to focus on us, on our marriage. Maybe starting a family soon," she said, setting down her fork. I supported her completely. That's what marriage is: partnership, sacrifice for each other. If she wanted to take a break, we could make it work. But the family part never happened. Every time I brought up kids, Natalie would deflect. "Not yet, honey. Maybe next year," she'd say. Then it was, "Maybe when we buy a bigger house." Then, "Maybe when we're more financially secure." I stopped pushing. For a while, things seemed fine. Natalie appeared happier without work stress. She took up cooking, redecorated, spent time with friends. But slowly, things started shifting. 6 months ago, Natalie announced she wanted to join Platinum Fitness, an upscale gym costing $300 monthly. "I want to get in better shape," she explained enthusiastically. "This place has the best trainers, great facilities." I encouraged her completely. And at first it worked. She came home energized, glowing, talking about workouts with genuine enthusiasm. But then other things changed. She began spending more time with friends from the gym, these mysterious workout buddies I never met. She'd come home smelling like expensive perfume I hadn't bought, wearing workout clothes that looked more like fashion statements. Her phone habits changed too. She'd check it constantly, smiling at messages in a way that made my stomach twist. When I'd ask who was texting, she'd give vague answers. "Just the girls planning workouts," she'd reply dismissively. Or, "Someone sharing a funny meme." The smile she gave those messages. It wasn't the smile she gave me anymore. Then came the vacation idea. "We haven't taken a real vacation in forever," she said one March evening, curling up beside me on the couch. "What about Maui? That resort your coworker Brad mentioned?" she suggested excitedly. "I love it," I responded immediately. "Just the two of us?" "Well, what about asking Jade to come?" she asked hesitantly. "She's been going through a rough patch since her breakup. Sister time might be good." Jade is Natalie's younger sister, 32, recently divorced, works in marketing. If having her along made Natalie happy, I was game. "Sure," I agreed. "The more the merrier." I spent 2 weeks planning everything. Sunset Bay Resort, 3 rooms for a week, flights, rental car, $8,000 total. But seeing Natalie's excitement made it worthwhile. She researched spa treatments, restaurants, excursions with more animation than I'd seen in months. The night before leaving, I watched her pack. New clothes I'd never seen, designer sundresses, expensive swimwear, perfumes from brands I couldn't pronounce. "I've been saving my own money for vacation shopping," she laughed when I asked about the expensive items. "A girl's got to look good in paradise, right?" she added playfully. Her own money. From what? She hadn't worked in 4 years, but I didn't push. On the plane to Maui, I noticed something troubling. Natalie was texting someone, smiling that private smile. When I leaned over casually, she tilted the phone away from me. "Who are you texting?" I asked casually. She quickly locked the screen. "Just Jade, confirming spa times," she replied without looking at me. But Jade was sitting right next to us, asleep for the last hour. As our plane descended toward Maui, I should have trusted that instinct, should have confronted her right there, demanded real answers instead of convenient lies. But I chose trust over suspicion, hope over evidence. It was the last naive decision I would ever make. The first morning in paradise, I woke at dawn and decided on a beach run before anyone else stirred. The resort was stunning. Palm trees swaying in ocean breeze, pristine sand stretching endlessly, waves creating perfect natural music. I ran for an hour, feeling optimistic about the week ahead. This was what Natalie and I needed. Time away from routines, from whatever invisible tension had been building between us. Returning to our room sweaty and energized, I expected to find Natalie asleep. Instead, she stood before the mirror, fully dressed, makeup applied perfectly, hair styled like she was heading to a photo shoot. She wore a sundress I'd never seen, designer, expensive, coral-colored that made her skin glow. Her makeup was flawless, not casual vacation style, but something more deliberate, more seductive. "You're up early," I said, grabbing a towel from the bathroom. "Jade and I have spa appointments," she replied without turning around. "We want to get there right when they open." "Sounds perfect." "Mind if I tag along for breakfast first?" I offered. "Actually," she finally turned, her smile bright but forced. "We're grabbing something light at the spa. You should just relax by the pool, read that book. This is your vacation too, babe," she said dismissively. Something in her tone felt like polite dismissal, like she was getting rid of me. But maybe I was reading too much into sister time. "Sure," I agreed. "See you for lunch?" "Definitely." "Love you," she said, kissing my cheek carefully to avoid smudging her lipstick. An hour later, showered and caffeinated, I settled poolside with a beer and my thriller novel. The resort buzzed with families, couples, groups of friends laughing together. I was 3 pages in when I saw him. He walked through the pool area like he owned it. Tall, maybe 6'2", muscular build screaming personal trainer. Designer tank showing impressive arms, expensive sunglasses, confident stride making people notice him. I barely registered him initially, just another gym-obsessed guest. Then I heard Natalie's laugh. Not her polite social laugh, her real laugh, pure, genuine joy I hadn't heard directed at me in months. Looking up, my stomach dropped. Natalie walked directly toward the stranger, face lit with excitement I couldn't remember seeing. Jade beside her, but Natalie only had eyes for this man. Reaching him, she didn't just say hello. She hugged him, intimate embrace, arms around his neck, body pressed against his, lasting several beats too long for casual friendship. I set down my book and stood, heart hammering. They talked now, Natalie's hand on his arm, laughing at something he said. He smiled down with obvious appreciation, and she looked up like he was the most fascinating person alive. I walked over. "Babe," I called out, voice carefully casual. "Who's this?" All 3 turned. Natalie's expression flickered with what looked like panic before smoothing into brightness. "Cam! Perfect timing!" she said with forced enthusiasm. She gestured toward the stranger. "This is Ryan from my gym. I had no idea he'd be here. Incredible coincidence!" she exclaimed. Ryan stepped forward with practiced confidence. "Cameron, right? Natalie's told me so much. Great to finally meet the husband, he said smoothly. I shook his hand, grip firm. Cameron Walsh. And you are? I replied evenly. Ryan Castellano. I'm a trainer at Platinum Fitness. Your wife's one of my most dedicated clients, he answered confidently. Trainer. That explained the body, the confidence, the way he carried himself like every woman should be impressed. Small world, I said neutrally. What brings you to Maui? Needed vacation. Work's been intense. Saw this place online, figured why not treat myself? He replied smoothly. His answer felt too rehearsed. Crazy coincidence you're at the same resort, I continued, watching his face carefully. Right? Couldn't believe it when I saw Natalie this morning. Hawaii's big, but here we are, he responded with that confident smile. This morning. He'd seen her this morning, but she'd supposedly gone straight to spa appointments. I thought you had early spa treatments, I said to Natalie. We did, Jade jumped in quickly. We ran into Ryan on our way, decided to reschedule so we could catch up, she explained nervously. Jade's voice was too bright, and she wouldn't meet my eyes. Over the next 48 hours, Ryan Castellano was everywhere. Breakfast the next morning, sliding into our table seat. Hope you don't mind, he said casually. Eating alone gets old. Poolside whenever Natalie appeared. Didn't you want to try that aqua aerobics class? He'd suggest. Same restaurant where we'd made dinner reservations. Wow, great taste. I heard this place was the best, he claimed. Every time I tried joining their conversations, Jade intercepted. Cam, help me with this excursion system? I'm hopeless with technology, she'd plead. Cam, I left my sunglasses at the beach bar. Walk back with me? She'd ask urgently. Cam, didn't you want to check that hiking trail? Let's ask the concierge, she'd suggest persistently. She was running interference, deliberately keeping me away from Natalie and Ryan, and doing it badly. Nervous glances, guilty body language, stammering excuses. But what made my blood run cold wasn't Jade's complicity. It was watching my wife with Ryan. The way she touched his arm when talking, casual, familiar touches lingering too long. How she leaned in when he spoke, hanging on every word. How she laughed at his jokes with her whole body, like she hadn't laughed at anything I'd said in years. And the looks, heated, intimate glances full of shared secrets. I know what sexual tension looks like. What I was watching wasn't friendship. The third night, I decided to test my suspicions. I'm wiped, I announced after dinner, stretching dramatically. Calling it early. Poor baby, Natalie said, touching my arm. First affectionate gesture since arriving. You've been in sun all day. Get rest, she cooed sympathetically. You coming up? I asked hopefully. Actually, Jade and I were grabbing drinks at the lobby bar. Just a little bit. Sister time. I won't be long, she replied casually. Don't have too much fun without me, I said, forcing a smile. I went upstairs, waited 15 minutes, then snuck back down. The lobby bar was dimly lit with intimate seating scattered around central bar space. I positioned behind a large pillar where I could see without being seen. There they were. Natalie, Jade, and Ryan at a corner table. But this wasn't casual drinks. Jade sat separately, scanning nervously like a lookout. And Natalie had her hand on Ryan's thigh, not resting casually, caressing it, moving fingers in small circles while talking, body angled toward his, heads close like lovers sharing secrets. I pulled out my phone and started recording. 10 minutes of crystal-clear footage. My wife, wearing my wedding ring, touching another man intimately while her sister kept watch. When they started getting up, I slipped back toward elevators. I was in bed pretending to read when she returned an hour later. How was sister time? I asked without looking up from my book. Nice, she said, starting to undress. Just caught up on family stuff. Jade needs to analyze every dating detail, she replied dismissively. Where's Ryan tonight? I asked casually. She froze momentarily, dress halfway over her head. I don't know. His room, I guess. Why? She answered defensively. Just curious. Seemed like you three were having fun, I observed. He's nice. Good gym friend. But honestly, I was ready to get away. Sometimes guys don't know when they're being too friendly, she said carefully. The lie came so smoothly I almost believed it. If I hadn't just watched her hand on his leg, her innocent tone might have convinced me I was imagining things. Good thing you have Jade keeping things appropriate, I replied. Exactly. Good night, babe. Love you, she said, rolling over. Love you too, I answered. But I lay awake for hours, staring at the ceiling, phone heavy with recorded evidence. My wife was cheating on me, not emotionally, not crossing minor boundaries, full-on physical involvement, and doing it 10 feet from our hotel room with her sister as accomplice while lying about every detail. The worst part wasn't the cheating itself. It was the arrogance, bringing her lover on our family vacation, making me pay for the trip where she planned to betray me, using her sister to distract me while she carried on publicly. They thought I was stupid, so trusting, so naive, they could conduct their relationship under my nose without consequences. They were wrong. As Natalie slept peacefully beside me, probably dreaming about her trainer, I started planning. Not just how to catch them, I had evidence, but how to ensure the consequences matched the betrayal. My wife wanted to play games? Fine. She was about to learn some games have very serious consequences. I woke up the next morning with strange clarity. The confusion, second-guessing, desperate hope that I was misreading innocent interactions, all gone. In its place sat cold, focused determination. My wife was cheating on me with her personal trainer on our family vacation. The evidence was undeniable. Now I needed more. Not just proof for my peace of mind, but evidence so comprehensive, so irrefutable, that when this crashed down, Natalie could never gaslight me, never claim misunderstanding, never spin this to friends and family. I needed her caught dead to rights, with zero possibility of denial. I became a ghost in my own vacation, present but watching, participating but calculating. At breakfast, I smiled when Ryan joined uninvited. I made small talk about his workout routine, asked interested questions about training philosophy, played the friendly, oblivious husband perfectly. You know what? I said, buttering toast casually. I should probably start working out more seriously. Maybe when we get back, you could give me some tips, Ryan. Absolutely, he replied, flashing that confident smile. Always happy to help a friend get in shape. Friend. The word tasted like acid, but I kept smiling. Meanwhile, I cataloged everything. How Natalie's eyes lit up when Ryan spoke. Her excuses to touch him, adjusting his sunglasses, brushing sand off his shoulder, lingering handshakes. The subtle signals between her and Jade, meaningful looks, tiny nods, constant coordination of my distraction. After breakfast, when Natalie announced another spa day, I decided to verify their story. That sounds amazing, I said enthusiastically. What treatments are you getting? Maybe I should book a massage. Natalie glanced at Jade nervously. We're doing some full-day package. Sister's retreat thing. Very exclusive. Probably booked solid, she explained quickly. Let me check with the concierge. Maybe they have openings, I offered helpfully. No, she responded too sharply. I mean, don't worry, babe. Today should be your relaxation day. Read your book, enjoy the pool, she added, forcing brightness into her voice. 20 minutes after they left, I walked to spa reception. Hi, I'm Cameron Walsh, room 412. My wife and sister-in-law have appointments today, Natalie Walsh and Jade Porter. I was hoping to upgrade their treatments, I explained to the friendly desk clerk. The clerk typed into her computer, then looked puzzled. I'm sorry, sir. I don't show appointments today under either name. Are you sure it's today? She asked helpfully. Maybe they use different names? Or the sister spa at the other property? I suggested. Sir, this is the only spa facility in the entire resort complex. Our system shows all bookings resort-wide, she clarified politely. Caught in line number 1. I thanked her and walked away, jaw clenched so tight I thought my teeth might crack. Over the following hours, I began systematic surveillance. I followed their movements through the resort, staying far enough back to avoid detection but close enough to document everything. Ryan's room was 347, one floor below ours. Convenient. I tracked their lunch coincidences, how Ryan always appeared at whatever restaurant or bar Natalie and Jade chose. The timing was too perfect, too coordinated. Someone was communicating locations. I started photographing everything. Time-stamped images of them together. Screenshots of resort activity logs showing no spa charges to our room. Photos of Natalie checking her phone constantly, then Ryan appearing minutes later. The smoking gun came that afternoon. While Ryan was supposedly at the gym and my wife allegedly shopping with Jade, I decided to check the resort's private cabana area. These were secluded, rented by the day, designed for couples wanting privacy by water. I approached through palm trees, staying hidden, when I heard familiar laughter. Through foliage, I could see Cabana 7. There, lounging together on the same beach chair, were Natalie and Ryan. My wife wore a bikini I'd never seen. Barely there, expensive, the kind she'd never worn around me. She was lying with her head on Ryan's bare chest, his arm wrapped around her, both drinking champagne from the bottle. Jade was nowhere to be seen. This wasn't chance encounter. This was intimate afternoon date between lovers, planned and executed with hotel staff complicity. Someone rented that cabana, someone delivered champagne. I pulled out my phone and recorded everything. 5 minutes of footage showing my wife in Ryan's arms, bodies intertwined, sharing intimate conversation and alcohol in a private setting costing $300 daily. When I finally backed away, my hands shook, not with shock anymore, but pure rage. That night, I reviewed everything on my phone. Videos, photos, timestamps, detailed log of lies and deceptions. The evidence was overwhelming, comprehensive, damning. But I still hadn't caught them in the actual act. And that's what I needed. Not just proof of emotional affair, not evidence of intimate moments, but documentation of actual something so explicit, so undeniable, that even Natalie's impressive lying ability couldn't explain it away. I needed them caught in the act. The opportunity came the next day. Spa day again? I asked at breakfast, watching Natalie's face carefully. Actually, yes, she replied smoothly. They have this amazing couples massage package that Jade and I want to try. Very exclusive, takes most of the day, she explained with practiced innocence. Another lie, delivered with the same smile she'd used all week. Sounds incredible. Maybe tonight we can have actual couple time ourselves? I suggested hopefully. Definitely, she answered, squeezing my hand. I've missed spending time with just you. The lie was so brazen, so contrary to her behavior all week, I almost laughed. Jade claimed sudden headache and disappeared to her room. Ryan announced he was working out, then exploring hiking trails. Natalie said she was heading to her massage appointments. I said I was hitting the gym too. But instead, I followed my wife. She didn't go toward the spa. She walked through the lobby, past restaurants, toward hallway housing public restrooms near conference facilities. Ryan was waiting there. I watched from around a corner as they met, not like casual friends bumping into each other, but lovers who'd planned this encounter. They spoke quietly for 30 seconds, Ryan occasionally glancing around, ensuring they weren't watched. Then Ryan gestured toward the men's restroom door, and my wife looked left, looked right, and followed him inside. The men's room. My wife, the woman I'd supported for 4 years, taken on this vacation to reconnect with, who wore my ring and bore my name, had just walked into a public men's restroom with her lover. For several seconds, I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The sheer audacity, complete disrespect, arrogance required to have sex with another man in a public bathroom while your husband was 50 yards away. It was so far beyond anything I'd imagined that my brain temporarily short-circuited. But then rage kicked in, cold, crystalline fury that sharpened my focus to razor's edge. I pulled out my phone, opened camera app, and started walking toward that restroom door. It was time to end this, not just catch them, but destroy them both so completely that consequences would echo through their lives for years. My hands were steady as I reached for the door handle. My phone was recording, and my marriage, whatever remained of it, was about to end in the most spectacular way possible. As I pushed open the restroom door, I could already hear them. Whispered voices, movement, unmistakable sounds of people who thought they were completely private and safe. They were wrong. And in 10 seconds, their lives were going to change forever. The men's restroom was empty except for one occupied stall at the far end. The handicapped stall, larger, more private, with a door that was slightly ajar. I could hear them clearly now. Natalie's voice, breathless and urgent. "God, I've been thinking about this all morning." Ryan's deeper response, "I can't get enough of you." The sounds that followed left no doubt about what they were doing. I approached silently, my phone camera already recording, my heart hammering with mixture of rage and adrenaline that made my vision crystal clear. Each step felt like slow motion, each sound from that stall driving the knife of betrayal deeper into my chest. When I reached the door, I could see them through the gap. Natalie was on her knees, still wearing her wedding ring, performing oral sex on her personal trainer while her husband was 50 yards away. Ryan was leaning back against the stall wall, eyes closed, one hand tangled in her hair. My wife, the woman I'd loved, supported, built a life with, on her knees in a public restroom, servicing another man. For several seconds, I just watched and recorded, documenting every angle, every detail. The evidence was perfect, undeniable, devastating. Then I pushed the stall door fully open. Smile for the camera. They froze like deer in headlights. Natalie's eyes went wide with absolute terror, her mouth falling open in shock. Ryan's face drained of all color as he scrambled to understand what was happening. "Cameron," Natalie started, trying to get to her feet. "Oh God, Cameron, please!" she sobbed desperately. I kept recording. 10 seconds. 20. Capturing their panic, their shame, their desperate attempts to cover themselves and explain the unexplainable. Natalie was crying now, mascara streaming down her face, reaching toward me like I might somehow unhear what I'd heard, unsee what I'd seen. "Cameron, I can explain. It's not what it looks like," she pleaded hysterically. "Really?" I said calmly, still filming. "Because it looks like my wife is sucking another man's cock in a public restroom." Ryan finally found his voice, fumbling with his zipper. "Dude, listen. This is complicated," he stammered. "No," I replied, putting my phone in my pocket. "It's really not." Then I moved. I grabbed Ryan by the front of his shirt and slammed him against the tile wall so hard that the impact echoed through the restroom like a gunshot. The mirror above the sink cracked. "Cameron, don't—" Natalie screamed in terror. My fist connected with Ryan's jaw with every ounce of rage I'd been storing up for days. The sound was like a branch snapping. Blood sprayed across the white tile, and Ryan's head snapped back against the wall. He tried to speak, tried to raise his hands defensively, but I wasn't done. I dragged him down to the floor, where he tried crawling toward the door. My boot came down on his knee with my full weight behind it. The sound of his kneecap shattering was distinctly different from the jaw punch, a wet crack, followed by his inhuman scream of agony. "Cameron, stop! You're going to kill him!" Natalie shrieked, grabbing at my arm frantically. I shoved her backward. She hit the floor hard, scrambling away from me in terror. Ryan was writhing on the bathroom floor, clutching his destroyed leg, crying like a child. His knee was bent at an angle that made my stomach turn, even in my rage. I looked down at him, this arrogant who'd thought he could have my wife with zero consequences, and felt nothing but cold satisfaction. "If you ever come near my wife again," I said quietly, "I'll finish the job." Then I turned to Natalie, who was pressed against the far wall, sobbing hysterically. "Get up!" I commanded coldly. "Cameron, please, let me explain," she begged desperately. "Get up!" I repeated with deadly calm. She struggled to her feet, shaking violently, makeup completely destroyed, looking exactly like what she was, a cheating witch caught in the act. I grabbed her arm and dragged her toward the door, then shoved both of them out into the hallway. The hallway was packed with guests returning from afternoon activities. Families with children, elderly couples, groups of friends chatting about dinner plans. The elevator had just opened, disgorging a dozen more people. Everyone turned at the commotion. Natalie stumbled out of the men's restroom first, sundress disheveled, mascara streaked down her cheeks, hair a mess, looking like she'd been doing exactly what she'd been doing. Ryan crawled out behind her, screaming in agony, his leg dragging uselessly, leaving a trail of blood on the carpet. And then I emerged, completely calm, not a hair out of place. The hallway fell silent except for Ryan's moans and Natalie's sobbing. "This woman," I announced loudly, pointing at Natalie, "is my wife." Gasps echoed through the crowd. Phones appeared, pointed at us, recording everything. "And I just caught her sucking this piece of shit's cock in the men's bathroom." "Oh my God," someone whispered in shock. "That's disgusting," another voice said with revulsion. Children were quickly ushered away from the scene, but the adults remained transfixed by the spectacle. Natalie collapsed to her knees, sobbing. "Cameron, please, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry," she wailed desperately. "I have video evidence," I continued, my voice carrying clearly through the hallway. "All of it. Her cheating, her bringing her lover on our family vacation, her making her sister cover for her while she f***ed him behind my back." The crowd's murmurs grew louder. I could see the judgment in their faces, the disgust, the way they were looking at Natalie like she was something they'd scrape off their shoes. "Someone call security!" a man's voice shouted urgently. "Call 911!" added a woman frantically. "That man needs medical attention!" Ryan was still writhing on the floor, his destroyed leg twisted at an impossible angle, blood pooling beneath him. I looked down at my wife one final time. She was kneeling on the resort carpet, completely broken, her reputation destroyed in front of dozens of witnesses who would remember this scene for the rest of their lives. "You're done," I told her quietly. "Pack your stuff. Our marriage is over." Then I walked away through the shocked crowd, past the gathering security guards, straight to the elevator. Behind me, Natalie's wails echoed through the resort hallway. Hotel staff was rushing to help Ryan, guests were calling for medical assistance, and the whole scene was being recorded by multiple phones. By the time I reached our room, I could already hear sirens approaching. I sat on the bed, pulled out my laptop, and began typing an email to my divorce attorney. Need divorce proceedings started immediately. Evidence attached. I uploaded the bathroom video, the poolside recordings, the timestamps of lies, everything I'd documented over the past week. Then I hit send. Within 2 hours, Ryan was airlifted to a Maui hospital for emergency surgery on his shattered patella. The doctors said he'd walk with a permanent limp, assuming the surgery was successful. Natalie was escorted to her room by security and informed she'd be removed from the property first thing in the morning. Hotel management reviewed their security footage and found multiple instances of her and Ryan in compromising positions around the resort. Jade appeared at my door around sunset, pale and shaking. "Cameron, I'm so sorry," she started tearfully. I didn't let her finish. "You knew from day one. You helped her. You watched me like a babysitter while she met with her lover. We're done," I said coldly. I closed the door in her face. By evening, the video had circulated among resort guests. Social media posts were already appearing, blurred faces, but clear enough that anyone who knew us would recognize the players. Natalie's public humiliation was complete and permanent. As I packed my bags to fly home the next morning, she pounded on my door. "Cameron, please, just let me explain. We can work through this. It was a mistake, a terrible mistake. I love you. I want to save our marriage." She sobbed desperately from the hallway. I didn't open the door, didn't respond, just continued packing while she sobbed and begged outside. I was done with her lies, her manipulation, her complete lack of accountability. She'd made her choices. Now she could live with the consequences. The real consequences were just beginning. I'm sitting in my downtown condo tonight, looking out at the city lights, thinking about how much my life has changed, how much better it's become. The divorce was swift and decisive. My attorney, Patricia Young, who specialized in infidelity cases, took one look at my evidence and smiled like Christmas morning. "This is the most comprehensive documentation of adultery I've seen in 20 years, she said confidently. "Your wife is going to get destroyed." She was right. Under our state's laws, proven infidelity significantly impacts asset division. The video evidence, witness testimony from resort staff, and my documented timeline made Natalie's case hopeless. Her overworked public defender tried arguing for reconciliation, temporary insanity, emotional distress. Patricia demolished every argument. I got the house, which I immediately sold. Our entire joint savings account. My retirement funds remained untouched. Even Natalie's car, purchased with my income while she was unemployed, became mine. Natalie walked away with nothing except her personal belongings and permanent shame. The social consequences were perhaps more devastating than financial ones. Her parents, conservative Catholics who'd treated me like the son they never had, watched the video. They disowned her immediately. "You are no longer our daughter," her father wrote in a text she accidentally sent to me instead of Jade. "You've disgraced our family and betrayed a good man," the message continued harshly. Her circle of gym wives and socialites evaporated overnight. These women, who'd apparently known about Ryan all along, distanced themselves the moment the scandal went public. Cheating privately was one thing, but getting caught on video in a men's restroom was social suicide. Natalie moved into a studio apartment in a rough part of town. She got a job waiting tables at a chain restaurant, her first employment in 4 years. Her gym membership was canceled, credit cards maxed out, Instagram account went silent. Jade tried reconciling multiple times. Texts, calls, showing up at my office. "I'm so sorry," she pleaded in voicemails I never returned. "I didn't know it would go this far. She's my sister. I felt like I had to help her. Can we please talk?" she begged desperately. I blocked her number, blocked her on social media. When she showed up at my workplace, security escorted her out. She chose her side in Maui. Now she lives with those consequences. Ryan's consequences were most severe. His shattered kneecap required 3 surgeries, metal pins, 8 months of rehabilitation. The leg never healed properly. He walks with permanent limp now, experiences chronic pain limiting physical activity. All his training clients dropped him once the scandal broke. Several women came forward saying he'd made inappropriate advances during sessions. The gym fired him and banned him from premises. His social media fitness empire, 60,000 Instagram followers, sponsorship deals, collapsed overnight. He's working part-time at a supplement store now, drives a used Honda, lives in a 1-bedroom apartment. His dreams of opening his own gym are permanently dead. Ryan tried pressing assault charges against me. Patricia argued extreme emotional distress and provocation. Combined with Ryan's public indecency charges from the resort, prosecutors dropped the charges. "Your client caught his wife performing oral sex on this man in a public restroom," Patricia told the prosecutor firmly. "Any reasonable person would have responded with violence. My client showed remarkable restraint by only breaking 1 bone," she argued convincingly. "The Sunset Bay Resort banned both Natalie and Ryan for life. They sent me formal apology and full refund, plus complimentary future stays. People ask if I regret my actions that day. The violence, the public humiliation. My answer is always the same. In that moment, I wasn't thinking about lawsuits or optics. I was thinking about dignity, about making sure there were real consequences for disrespect. Could I have handled it differently? Maybe. Do I regret making sure the truth came out? Absolutely not, I reply honestly. I sleep better now than I have in years. I wake up knowing exactly where I stand, exactly who I can trust. I've started dating again. Nothing serious yet. It's refreshing meeting women who work, who contribute, who don't see marriage as a free meal ticket with benefits. I'm in the best shape of my life, joined a different gym, and discovered I actually enjoy working out when it's not a reminder of betrayal. I travel more now. Weekend trips to places Natalie would never go, hiking trails, fishing expeditions, sports events with buddies. I'm rediscovering interests I'd abandoned during marriage. On quiet nights, I reflect on what went wrong, what signs I missed, whether the marriage was salvageable at some point. But I've reached a conclusion that brings peace. Natalie didn't cheat because I failed as a husband. She cheated because she felt entitled to have everything, a provider husband and an exciting affair, and thought she was smart enough to get away with it. Some people are fundamentally selfish. No amount of love or support will change them. They'll take everything you offer and still want more, believing they deserve better while giving nothing in return. Natalie was one of those people. I'm grateful to have learned that truth now, at 37, rather than after 20 years and kids caught in crossfire. I close my laptop, finish my whiskey, look out at the city lights. Tomorrow I'm meeting Sarah for lunch, an architect with her own firm who splits every check without being asked. We're taking it slow, building friendship first. Life's too short to waste on people who don't value you. I learned that lesson the hard way, but I learned it completely. To anyone reading this, protect yourself, document everything, and never let anyone convince you that you deserve disrespect. I walked away with my dignity intact. That's worth more than any marriage could have been.